Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chia and today I'm going to be doing a holiday reading vlog. I don't think I've ever read a holiday book besides A Court of Frost and Starlight. I don't normally tend to read for them because I just don't feel the need to read any holiday books unless they are of characters that I absolutely love. Case in point, the characters from Akatar. I loved reading a holiday book about them. If you are watching animes, there's always like a OVA or something like that is holiday themed. I absolutely love those themed episodes and themed sort of like movies, I guess you could say. And I do like episodes in shows where they do holiday themed one as well. This is my potential TBR, and then I did acquire these books in my Christmas vlog where I went to Barnes & Noble. These books are going to be Spectacular by Stephanie Garber. This one is set in the Caraval world, and this one is going to follow the three characters in the Caraval world, and they're sort of like celebrating the holidays together. And this one is the exclusive Barnes & Noble edition. I just love the illustrations in this book and the little black and white red theme that is going on. I'm so excited to read this and I can't wait to see it. It's very short, so it's probably not going to take me long at all. I might end up just finishing this in one setting. And look at how big the font is. It's like less than 220 pages, so I can't wait to read this one. This is probably like my most anticipated one out of the 5. Next one is The Christmas Tree Farm by Lori Gilmore. Lori Gilmore has come out with 2 other books. I believe the first one is The Pumpkin Spice Cafe, which came out in September, I believe, August or September, and the next one was The Cinnamon Bun Store, and this one is the 3rd book. It's just sort of interconnected standalones where they follow different couples in all of her different books, and this one just feels so perfect for the season because it's set on a Christmas tree farm and it's a love story, of course, so it's gonna be cheesy and I want all of the cheese, so I can't wait to read this one. And that's the 2nd book. I'm hoping to get through this too. The next book is The Christmas Fix by Lucy Score. I'm kind of wary about this one because I don't know if I'm gonna like Lucy Score's writing. I haven't picked up any of her books because I just keep hearing mixed reviews about it, especially from people I trust their opinions with, but I'm hoping to like this one because it's gonna be Christmas themed, and maybe if I end up liking her writing this one, I might read her other series. This one I'm actually really excited about because it's sort of like a holiday Groundhog Day. It's The Holidays by Christina Lauren, and I heard nothing but great things about Christina Lauren's writing, and this one is sort of following a girl who is reliving the same Christmas day over and over and over, and I can't wait to see how this one concludes. And usually with these kind of books where it's like a reliving of the same story, they won't end the book unless there's a lesson that's learned by the main character. So I'm hoping it's kind of one of those books, but I'm just here for the vibes. And the last book is How My Neighbor Stole Christmas by Megan Quinn. This one has been all over TikTok lately, and I heard the audiobook is amazing, so I might acquire the audiobook, and I'm really excited, and the cover looks so pretty. I'm kind of weary about this one too because it is kind of a long romance book, especially if it's Christmas themed. It's 469 pages. Like, why does it need to be 500 pages long? So we shall see how I get along with this one and see if any of these end up getting high rating from me. It probably won't because they are cheesy Christmas themed contemporary romances, but it's a perfect vibe for the season, so come along as I read these books and see my opinions about them. So I'm back with a little bit of an update for my holiday romance one. I was going to start on Spectacular by Stephanie Garber, but I don't know if you saw from the previous footage or if I inserted it at all. I did go to Arizona for the weekend for my boyfriend's graduation, so I decided to bring in a holidays with me. I absolutely binged this book. Like any typical contemporary romance book, it's 304 pages. It's very short. This one was a very good time. I liked how easy Christina Lauren's writing is because it's very easy to get into and it goes straight to the point. This one is a sort of Groundhog Day kind of story where Malin Jones usually goes to the cabin with a bunch of her family friends. And I guess it's like a yearly tradition that this whole entire friend group takes. And it started off with their parents decided to come to this cabin every single year for Christmas, and they spend Christmas together for a week. And it starts like the 5 days before Christmas and everything. It starts off with them being the last day right after Christmas, and she makes a mistake of making out with one of her childhood best friends. They've pretty much seen each other every single year and grew up with each other, and she ends up making a mistake because she doesn't feel the same way about him. They end up ending their holiday to go their separate ways because I guess the family who owns the cabin ends up announcing during one of the last days that they are going to be selling the cabin, and everyone's sad obviously because this is a cabin that's been in their Christmas tradition every single year for like 30 years, I guess. This one was really good. I like the story aspect of it where it was Groundhog Day, where the character, she constantly lived the same day over and over and over. The cabin is set in Utah, and every single Christmas they go to Utah and then they fly in and then they drive up to the cabin, and the cabin's pretty remote, so they go here every single year and they do same traditions, same everything. And I guess a lot of the people in the cabin, a lot of her friends, are kind of sick of the tradition a little bit because they want to do other things. And so she's kind of sad when they announce that the cabin is being sold because she doesn't want it to end. She's a typical older sister. She's very people pleasing, and she's people pleasing to her parents. She's people pleasing to all her family's friends. She doesn't want to upset anyone, so she kind of has a savior complex, and she feels bad that the cabin is getting sold and is trying to figure out ways helping to save the cabin. But she also has a huge crush on her family friend's oldest son, and she's always had a crush on him, and I guess like she is always been hanging out with his younger brother instead, but she doesn't have any feelings for the younger brother whatsoever. So she's always been like sort of the younger sister to him. And during these happenings, and decides to tell her feelings to the older brother. And I did like the romance aspect of it, but I kind of felt like maybe it was a little bit insta-lovey. There are some points where it's a friends to lovers kind of situation. I guess it kind of weirded me out because there was a point where older guy named Andrew, who's like 3 years older than her, not that much older, and I felt like the way they confessed each other's feelings, kind of like a teenage angst situation. And I also like it kind of turned spicy really fast. It wasn't full on spicy, it's not like full on details and everything, which I liked. It was kind of uncomfortable because they were in the same cabin as all of their family friends, and there was at one point where they kind of got caught the next day by like her little brother. Those are the aspects that kind of like made me kind of weirded out by the book. And also there's a point in this book where the girl or the guy says he describes some of their makeout sessions as growly. I have never heard anyone use the word growly before. It was a good time. There was a lot of Christmas moments because they do a bunch of like holiday traditions in here, especially since it's set in the snow. They do like snow sledding, snowman building contests, because that's what they've always done since they were kids. I like that there was a big family aspect, like found family kind of aspect, because she does come from a family of divorced parents, and every single year her dad and mom, so they decide to be able to put aside their differences to come together every single year during this Christmas trip. She always has felt like she needs to keep everything together herself. It's just always her personality. I recommend this book if you're just looking for a Christmas good feeling like story and with a little romance in there. Don't expect it to be the best love story ever. The main character, she was okay. I just felt like she just put too much pressure on herself to be everything that she's supposed to be, but it was a good time for me to read while on a road trip, and I gave this a 3.5. But now I'm moving on to Spectacular, and I'm already about 26 pages in. It's formatted like a children's storybook, that's what I see, because I see a bunch of like illustrations in it. I'm just happy to be back in this world, but I don't imagine myself giving this like a super high rating because it's just like a novella, unless like something huge to the story gets revealed in here, which I highly doubt. I doubt I'll give it higher than like maybe a 3 or a 4, but we shall see, and I will tell you my full opinions on this as soon as I'm done. So I just finished Spectacular by Stephanie Garber. It was nice. It was just a huge novella that was taking place on their holiday, and their holiday is called Great Holiday. Obviously, don't read this until you've read Caraval because it spoils a lot of things that happen in Caraval. And I guess the whole premise is Donatella, or Tella from Caraval, is looking for a big present for Legend, and she can't find one that's perfect enough for him, and so she has to run through a little, I guess you could say, conflict, because she is trying to read this book called this is the book that she's trying to read. Brimming with advice guaranteed to change your life, how not to lose the love of your life. She takes the whole entire book to heart because she wants to make sure that she keeps the love of her life, basically. And she's just literally playing games with him, and then of course everything gets resolved at the end. She runs into conflict while trying to find the perfect holiday gift. But yes, like I said, it's very similar to A Court of Frost and Starlight, where they have like the solstice in it, and this feels very similar, so there's nothing really too huge about it. If you want the warm, comfy feeling of the Christmas vibes and you like Caraval, I highly recommend picking this up, but I believe I gave it around like a 3 or 3.5 because there's nothing too special about it, but like being in the world again. So I started to pick up A Christmas Fix by Lucy Score, and I got about maybe 40 pages in, and I am not connecting with the characters whatsoever. In fact, I'm finding them a little bit irritating, so I decided to put this down. I don't know if I'm trying to pick it up again later on this vlog, or maybe I might not even pick it up until next year, so I'm not going to read this right now. I've actually decided to move on to A Christmas Tree Farm by Lori Gilmore. This book is very short. It's a part of the interconnected standalones. I forget what it's called. I think Dream Harbor, where the first one was a pumpkin spice cafe, the second one was cinnamon bun cafe, and I guess they follow different couples that live in Dream Harbor. And this one follows a character named Kiera North who ends up buying a Christmas tree farm in Dream Harbor. Decided to buy a Christmas tree farm because her twin sister ended up moving away from her to Belgium, so she spent her whole life depending on her twin sister, and it's like she and her twin sister never really did anything alone, and now she's having to survive on her own and live on her own. She comes from a very rich background, so she's had things basically done for her whole entire life. Her parents have done everything for her. They've hired maids and services and everything like that, and her sister found a way to grow up and strike on her own and fall in love, and she's kind of bitter at her sister for that. So she wanted to prove her own worth by trying to buy a Christmas tree farm, but she doesn't realize how much work is gonna go into it and everything like that. Yeah, I started already. I'm liking it so far. The writings are very easy to get into. The love interest in this book is called Bennett Ellis. I guess he's the brother of the main character from the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. He comes to visit for Christmas and wants to spend time with his sister. He owns 3 dogs, and he's walking them one day, and he ends up walking them onto Kiera North's like farm, and they have like a kind of like a bad interaction because she's rude and he's just being nice. The way they're comparing him to is to Clark Kent, and all I'm seeing right now is very Henry Cavill character, so big forearms, tall, and everything like that. So that's all I'm imagining because that's the main character is describing him as. I'm liking it so far, and I can't wait to continue more, so I'll be back with an update. What am I reading right now? I don't know what I'm reading right now. I'm reading one of the most awkwardest smut scenes I've ever read in my life. If you don't like smut, this book is not for you. and it's very insta-lovey. Again, I don't know how to feel about it. He nicknamed her Peaches, and she's from Georgia, so he calls her his Georgia Peach. Hi friends, I am back with an update. I just finished The Christmas Tree Farm by Lori Gilmore, and overall it was okay. It was a 3-star book. This book is very quick and easy to get into. It follows a character who owns a Christmas tree farm, like I said before, but I don't know. I just didn't like her because she ends up being very reclusive and shuts out the whole entire town, even though she's the one who moved in here and wants to run a successful business. And she was originally wanting to turn this farm into a homestead, but she kind of needs help running a homestead, especially since she has never done a farm before. So in order to do that, she ends up changing her mind about running the Christmas tree farm. When she opens it for the first time, she realizes that she has no customers. But then how did she not think that she wouldn't get any customers if she keeps turning out the people who live in her town? She ends up trying to figure out ways for the locals to come and interact with her farm, and in comes Bennett to suggest some things. Bennett has a very savior complex kind of personality because he's always had trouble saying no to people whenever they asked him to help out, and he's been known to get in trouble with a lot of his exes because he goes and helps out with them. They always like kind of take an advantage, and there's sort of like a past hookup that he has back in California, so ends up trying to help out Kira because he just wants to help her out. I guess the suggestions that he gives her just doesn't bode too well for her because she just doesn't want anyone's help. But how is she gonna not have any help when she's running a farm by herself that she doesn't even know how to do? So he ends up just suggesting to her to go to the tree lighting ceremony over in the town to go announce the fact that she's reopening the Christmas tree farm. Of course, she takes him up on his offer because how else is she gonna get the locals to come to her Christmas tree farm if she doesn't make an announcement about it? And overall, I thought this premise was okay. I thought it kind of became insta-lovey a little bit because every single time they had an interaction with each other, it was always them sniping at each other, but then inside their heads it was always commenting in their physical appearances, and it turned spicy very, very fast the moment they started getting along. So, and I thought some of the spicy scenes was a little bit cringy. I did not like the fact that he nicknamed her Peaches just because she was from Georgia, and he called her Peaches during these spicy scenes. It was a big giant cringe fest. So if you want some feel-good, happy Christmas romance, and it's very short, it's like 300 pages, I would recommend this, but at the same time, I don't think it wasn't for me whatsoever. I ended up reading 2 books on my Kindle. That's a part of Kindle Unlimited. It's a part of the Under the Mistletoe series. It's a bunch of novellas that are written by different romance authors, and one of them was written by Ali Hazelwood and Tessa Bailey and Olivia Dade. I don't think I've ever read any book by Olivia Dade or Tessa Bailey, or Ali Hazelwood for that matter, but I decided to take it on because they're very short. I think each of them are like all under 100 pages long. The first one I read was Cruel Winter Without You, and this one was by Ali Hazelwood. And this one is following a character named Jamie, and she ventures through a storm across the street from her dad's house because she's coming home for Christmas, and she goes to her childhood best friend's house to get a roasting pan sort of, and runs into someone named Mark. Mark is her best friend's little brother. They always had sort of a brotherly sister relationship, and he always had a crush on her when they were younger, but then turned into sort of like an annoying sibling kind of relationship. But then he ended up declaring his feelings when they were younger, and it just follows their relationship and how it goes on. I really honestly thought that Mark came off really, really strong. Like how he kept telling her that I've been in love with you since we were kids, and then you are not going to find anyone else better than me. I'm like, you're coming off too strong a little bit there, guys, so relax. The next 2 I read were very, very low on my list. They were both 2 stars, and one of them was 1 star, Merry Ever After by Tessa Bailey. It follows a girl named Evie, and she meets sort of a farmer named Luke. She works for the local thrift store, and she makes her own and designs her own clothing, and he comes in maybe a couple of times a week to see if there's any jeans that fits him, and he realizes that there isn't because he's sort of like a large dude, and there's different comments constantly of how big this dude is, how, you know, different things about how like he has a crush on Evie, and Evie has a 5-month-old son, and then he kind of gets turned off by that because of the fact that he thinks that she's married, even though the fact that he just hit on her. And then I don't know, it just turned really spicy very fast, and it was very, very weird, very cringy. I don't recommend whatsoever. 1 star. I can't believe I read that, and I don't ever want to read that ever again. So it kind of made me turn off from Tessa Bailey's writing because of the fact that she turned a 40-page novella into pure spice fest, because they literally spoke to each other the day before Christmas Eve, and then a spicy scene happened the day after, and then it was just very, very weird, and I don't like this at all. And the next one I read was All By My Elf. This one is sort of like a secret crush romance where it's like a worker colleagues named Nina and William, and they're both on sort of like this like hot dog kind of like vehicle where they're promoting this sort of business called Mincemeat Pies, where it's mincemeat and phyllo dough, and they had to repurpose a hot dog wiener car, and they were tasked to do this as a part of like a sort of side job they had to do, and they were volunteered by their professor to go do this for the month of December. And there's just too many wiener jokes in this book, and I thought this was better than Merry Ever After. At least the spice was more tolerable, at least, but I might finish the last 2 books just to get out of the way. It's a 5-book series, so yeah, each of them are super, super short. They're all 40 pages long, 40 to 70 pages long. I think the Allie Hazelwood one, Cruel Winter with You, is the longest one of the whole entire novellas. The best one was the Allie Hazelwood one. I decided not to read How My Neighbor Stole Christmas. I am almost finished with it, but I think I'm gonna continue that into another vlog. So there is another reading vlog that I'm doing where I'm trying to catch up with my reading goals, so I might just continue with this one because this video is already way too long with all the books that I read. Anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope you had a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays, and I can't wait to finish the rest of the year off strong with all better books. And I am so Christmas book out that my brain just needs a break from it. I can't wait to go back to my fantasy books. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming along with me on this journey through the good and the bad. Comment down below your favorite Christmas books that you've read this year, or if you've read any at all, or if you read any of the books that I read, and I want to know your opinion. Like and subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.